So far, my gaming journey has taken me through the classic era of gaming from the 1970s through the 1990s, with industry veterans giving me an education in the rich history of video games. Now it's time to step into the modern age and see what's really happening in today's landscape of game development.
I'm excited to continue my journey at Children's Hospital Los Angeles to learn more about the role video games play in patient recovery, rehabilitation, and pain management. Today I'll be spending some time with actual patients to see how these games are used in their daily routines.
Hey guys, we're here in New York at Madison Square Garden for the League of Legends North American Championship Finals. And I am so pumped today because it is sold out. 12,000 people are in there cheering their favorite League of Legends teams. I'm so pumped, I'm so ready. Let's go.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Video games are a cultural experience. It all has to do with not so much the technology, but how the games are experienced and remembered by the people who are playing them.
Virtual reality, giving the consumers things they didn't even know they wanted at the time.
The big fear, I think, when people started gaming a lot was, oh, that's going to take these kids and isolate these people. No, they're actually social with people around the world.
As an actor in a game, when I get deeper into the character, it becomes more natural and more real. And it shows, and you believe it as you're playing the game.
Tomb Raider, another third-party franchise that changed the face of gaming, introduced the world to Lara Croft, the first female heroine in an action-adventure setting. So I'm going to talk to Daryl Gallagher, who is the studio head at Crystal Dynamics, the company responsible for the recent and critically acclaimed Tomb Raider reboot. You're a producer of Tomb Raider. What do you do?
Producing games or running studios or running franchises, those are things that I do. And it's essentially making sure that we're assembling all the great talent you need to land in a spot where we make a great splash at E3 like we did today.
I'm thrilled to be here today to demo the world premiere gameplay of Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Tomb Raider has been around since I think 1996, and then Angelina Jolie made it famous.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Usually something gets lost along the way, but what I noticed, I don't know if you call it a reboot, but cinematically, Tomb Raider looks different than it did in the beginning. Tell me about that.
So we have the ability to produce almost CG, computer graphic kind of quality in these games and tell stories that are just so much more sophisticated than we could tell back then, almost 20 years ago. But it has to be more than that. We want people to be emotionally invested in the journey that Lara's on.
Right.
We want them to really experience the things that she's going through as this awesome action-adventure heroine.
Right.
And we want people along for that journey together.
The basic artistry of acting and filmmaking has remained unchanged since the early days of film, but I've seen the technology change every few years. Good game design is very similar. For example, the first Tomb Raider was created with artistic approach utilizing the game design tools available at the time. As a result, it looks comically primitive by today's standards. Game technology has progressed, feeding the artistry of the design. What moment do you go, okay, we did it, I can breathe until the next one?
First and foremost, the first thing you hear is, Do people care about it? Are they playing it? Do they like it?
Right.
Are they having fun?
Right.
And that feedback is instant.
It's stunning how much people care. And when they have a property like Tomb Raider that people are invested in for years.
Oh yeah. That's a privileged position for us to have fans that care that much, and we do nothing more than try and deliver and exceed the expectations they have, right? Because they've been with Tomb Raider for almost 20 years.
Are you able to take a break now that you're releasing this, or do you say, I've already know what we're doing next, we're working on it, we're spinning it around? There will be another one.
Well, never say never, right?
Right, that's true.
It's been 20 years of Tomb Raider, so let's assume there'll be another one at some point.
I'm seeing a common thread here. It seems like once a video game is a hit, it's prime real estate for a sequel. Or if it's a smash hit, it becomes a franchise. Now you're talking my language. Movies. In the 1970s, the blockbuster arrived, a type of movie that transcended previous movie hits by leaps and bounds. It changed the landscape of entertainment forever. This gave way to the birth of the blockbuster sequel, now known as a franchise, and the burgeoning video game industry took their cues accordingly. From Call of Duty to Tomb Raider to Angry Birds, gaming has built many of its most memorable games from recognizable characters and brands.
So I think for us, it's really about trying to just make the best games we can. We recognize that Lara Croft Tomb Raider is one of the biggest icons in gaming, and we care about just crafting something we think is going to be special.
The same game that you release in the United States, is that the same exact version you release in Asia, or do you tailor?
Generally, we're the same content, but we localize for language.
That's it, this language, got it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. And how do you protect from piracy?
For us, I mean, we work on platforms like Xbox One,
yes,
and that really helps protect privacy because
yes,
that's not a disc that you can copy.
Right, right.
You know, so the console makers like Microsoft really, help us with that. So
we have to catch up with that in my business. Yeah, we have to.
Different kind of business.
Yeah.
So for us, we get the advantage of having a platform like that.
Oh, that's great.
Dedicated.
Well, thank you for all you do, and thank you for sharing with me today. I really appreciate it, buddy.
And I shall rise, oh well, I shall rise again and again. I shall rise, oh well, I shall rise again and again.
My name's Kazaya Paktakan. I'm a nurse here on BMT.
Very cool, which is the bone marrow transplant unit, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
But you don't have just bone marrow transplants here.
No, we do bone marrow transplants, but we also do what is called autologous transplants, which is where we take the bone marrow from a patient and then we give it back to them as a sort of rescue.
Interesting. And so how long would they usually spend, like on average, in the isolation rooms?
Patients tend to be here anywhere from 1 to 6 months at a time in protective isolation. So what that means is that for their own safety, because they have no immune system, that means they cannot leave the room and that they have a very strict guest list. So they're used to having this support and they're used to having this friend that they're always around with, and then in this time when they need it the most, they don't have it anymore.
Yeah, restricted guest list, so a lot of these kids are here for half a year. How many people would that be that they get to visit them? 6?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
As an adolescent, being restricted to 6 people for that's.
So if that's your family, if that's your mom, your dad, if you have 2 siblings, that's 4, and then maybe 2 friends.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
6 months of isolation may seem extreme, but before these measures were adopted, survivability rates for bone marrow transplant patients were dismal. Over 90% of BMT patients will develop some kind of infection after the transplant procedure, which is the leading cause of patient relapse and mortality. That's why hospitals must adopt such strict isolation, visitation, and facility guidelines for each patient's entire stay, all of which are essential for a patient's recovery. Unfortunately, staving off boredom and loneliness is an often unfulfilled need in many hospitals. Interactive entertainment introduces a time-lapse effect, which helps fill the hours, days, and months needed to get these kids across the finish line of recovery. So gaming must be really important for them then, because they get to play with each other. So in other rooms, because they're not visiting each other, they might not even, get to be out of their rooms often at all. they can actually play opposite each other, right?
Yeah, so that's the thing that we're trying to implement here on BMT. We're trying to get enough systems here so that the patients can play with each other, because a lot of these people, you know, they all have the same diagnosis, they're going through the same things, but they're not able to talk with each other. And the other thing that we've been doing is that we will have one copy of a game, keep it with the patient, and then we'll send another copy home with a sibling. So that way they can play with their sibling online. They feel like they have that support still, they still have that friendship.
Well, and they can hear them.
Yeah.
So you got in contact with Get Well Gamers, right?
Yeah, so because we were trying to create that system where the patients can play with one another and play with their siblings, we've been trying to acquire more games and more systems, and Get Well Gamers has been really good about giving us donations.
So kids will get to play with new games then?
Yeah,
That's
new games instead of
awesome.
all of our old games that we have here.
So you've been organizing this for like a month, and
Yeah.
they've come here today with some more stuff for the kids.
Yeah.
And we'll get to actually give it to a couple of the patients, right?
Yeah.
Is that whole box full?
Yeah, the whole box.
Whoa! Kids will love this one.
Oh, and look, they even have like Connect.
That's so cute.
Oh man, I know a patient who would love that.
That's so great.
Big Legend of Zelda fan in that room.
That's so great.
Thank you so much, you guys.
You're welcome.
It's the size of a kid.
I know.
So we have this massive, impressive pile, and a bunch of them are DSs, and I think there's an Xbox as well.
Yeah.
Should we go give these to some of the
Yeah,
patients?
I know some who would definitely love these games.
Yay!
Yeah, for sure.
I'm so excited.
If you're in a hospital, you're stuck inside this sterile environment. The games is a window to something else, but it's also a vibrant form of stimulation that will, you know, raise your spirits, help you feel better, and maybe you forget the fact that you're actually in a hospital.
Six weeks ago, teams didn't know if they would even still be in the championship series at this point. The competition is brutal and has devastated other teams who got close but ultimately didn't make it. You can be good, even great, and still get eliminated by even better teams. So walk me through just your emotions right now.
Knowing that I'm going to New York now, I'm really, really happy, because all the way since I was like a little kid in Europe, I always wanted to go to New York because that was such a big city, and I feel like being there to compete in one of the biggest stages as a competitor is like a way bigger experience for me, and I can't wait.
Yeah, because you're going there with purpose instead
Yeah.
of maybe just on a vacation.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Madison Square Garden, it's great. I watched basketball when I was a kid, so I used to watch Jordan and Kobe play there and get their records, set their records there and stuff like that. So it'll be pretty cool to actually play there and be there.
We got Team Solo Mid and Counter Logic Gaming. That's a tough one. I like both of them, but I got to go for TSM. I love watching Bjergsen Mid. His mechanics are amazing and phenomenal to watch.
I would like CLG to win, so I say CLG 3 against 2 against TSM.
My favorite team right now is TSM. They're probably the best team in NA. I don't care what anyone says about CLG. I really think that they're going to win the NA LCS this year.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the North American League Championship Series Summer Finals. Today, this storied venue will play host to the latest battle in the longest-running rivalry in League of Legends, Counter Logic Gaming versus TSM.
I've been tried and you know I've been tested.
Ladies and gentlemen, Madison Square Garden about to get on their feet here for Game 1.
Back down, no, I'll never surrender.
The flash is up, the heel can be there, Glacial Fissure across the board. What a nice explosive cast, but everybody was actually out of position as well for the monsoon.
I was made to do, I was born for this.
Winter's right onto Bjergsen, three-man shockwave, where's the answer? TSM is not in the right position to get the attacks on the priority targets. It's CLG that's able now to push them right over in their own command shockwave engage. Zion Spartan and Double Lift cleaning up the crew. The janitorial duty onto Dyrus. That's gonna go over to Pobelter. No, it's a triple kill for Double Lift.
CLG completely cleans house. They got it, and they're gonna get the Baron after the ace.
Now, Madison Square Garden is completely sold out.
You know, if you asked me a couple years ago, I would have said we're probably not going to sell out a Staples Center or Madison Square Garden. So it's really grown faster than any of us could have ever dreamed for. And so I think we're taking it all in stride.
This is a very unique job title. It's a new position. It's so exciting. They have to be young, right?
I think passion and will trumps a lot. If a player invests enough time in themselves, they're going to do more than I could ever do coaching them. So they just have to have the will to win.
Never met a match I couldn't handle. No one else could ever hold a candle. Get ready for a battle, 'cause you know.
This is the turning point COG has been playing for. Turtle goes down, double it with another one. Game 1 coming up 39 minutes in. Very convincing from Counter Logic Gaming as they take out Team Solo Mid in the finals.
It depends on what your definition of sport is. If you're only thinking about athletic stuff, then obviously it's not. But if you think that chess is a sport, then yeah, it's a sport.
Esports is definitely real sports. The amount of concentration you need to spend in esports is the same as if you're on a court or you're on a field. Yeah, you know, it may not be as macho as running down a football field or sinking a three-point shooter, but can those athletes focus on the game continuously and operate at a peak level and be able to respond instantly? Anyone can play games, but not anyone can compete. You have to have that certain drive, the focus, the concentration, and the ability to be an athlete, much less a professional athlete and get paid for it.
Popular titles like Doom, Quake, and later the original Xbox launch title Halo established the first-person shooter as a mainstay in gaming. But few would argue that the Call of Duty franchise has not only taken the FPS to new heights, it has put next-gen gaming at the forefront of popular culture. This is just so great.
Okay, here's some battle out here.
Oh, there's some battle out there? Oh my God, I got back. Let me just fire this, I just want to shoot one.
It's intense.
Oh my God. Oh my God, that was so great. Activision, Call of Duty are the biggest things in entertainment, period. How did we get here, Mark?
It's been a long journey. It's been over a decade that we have been making these games. You know, I've been there from the very beginning, but there's so many talented teams. I mean, there's thousands of people that work on making Call of Duty games year in, year out. And I'm fortunate enough to lead one of those teams, Treyarch, that makes the Call of Duty Black Ops games.
And it's interesting, the most success in my business, the movie business, are sequels to franchises that people love. And you seem to be doing that and keeping it interesting, because sometimes when people do sequels, they shouldn't have done sequels, but so far so good. Do you ever worry about that?
For us, the reason to make a sequel is to push ourselves creatively. And
right.
I think by pushing ourselves creatively, we're constantly bringing new ideas, fresh ideas, and innovating and creativity, and that's what gets people excited.
You know, you've worked with actors, like Academy Award actors.
I lost my son, and it taught me the importance of seizing the moment, of saying what needs to be said when you have the chance.
How do you cast an actor?
It's about who's the best talent that you can cast to bring your story to life. But we'll work with the actors, and they'll say, hey, like, I feel like my character, you know, should be doing this or saying this or feeling this, to bring them the best of themselves to the role. And in games, we've been we're trying to bridge this thing called the uncanny valley, which is when you look at a 3D image and it looks like that person or character, but it's not quite that character. We've been working on bridging, and that's so important because I think it does bring people into our narrative. It does immerse them. And I think we're at that place now where in real time, you know, we do pre-rendered movies, but a lot of our stuff is done in real time. And for Call of Duty, it's 60 frames a second.
For years, game developers relied on pre-rendered movies to assist them with storytelling in the game. What's truly remarkable about modern games is that this experience happens in real time during gameplay. It's called real-time rendering and has taken the game experience to a whole new level. I was in the Middle East for the US Open. They say, we're gonna take you somewhere secret. Nobody's seen this before. Go underground. There's maybe 400, what I would call gamers. At their consoles, they operate every drone, every aircraft, everything. These people are sitting there who grew up playing games, and now, they're protecting us.
I talked to the same guys, and I've seen those things. But I'm really proud of what our company has done in trying to recognize that there's a problem when, we send these men and women off to service. They come back.
Yeah.
And I'm proud that the company tries to work on finding meaningful employment, and we have this Call of Duty endowment and being a part of that, and we're all very proud of that.
Virtual reality is now being used in the military for training. The Patriot missile system, a Cold War relic, is still active today, but now it has its very own version of a video game. It's a game that teaches U.S. service members how to operate the weapons in a virtual world. According to the missile system's creator, Raytheon, the idea is to more effectively and efficiently train the next generation of soldiers who all grow up with video game controllers in their hands. Each soldier is scanned, their in-game avatar is created, and using motion capture technology inside multiplayer game sessions, soldiers move through a virtual landscape and manipulate digital versions of real-life equipment for the purposes of training and someday to be repeated in the physical world. With complex and costly military hardware in play, the entire system saves enormous amounts of time, money, and I would say, human lives.
And you talk about vets. I know vets who play with people back home.
Oh, yeah.
Online.
That's so freaking cool.
So they'll actually use our game to just, to get together and play and have fun.
And men don't like to talk on the phone and call their buddies. My wife's like, well, call your friends. Like, we don't do that, but we would do this.
It's widely known that video game developers have helped with military training for decades. What might be surprising for people to learn is that games are being used to not only help patients cope with their illnesses, but also to learn about them. I am especially excited to speak with this next doctor. She's part of a group that developed a video game that helps patients understand their disease and how it is treated.
With gaming, it's a fun way for kids to learn about things that they may not really have any interest about.
Yeah.
And always being told what to do, nobody likes that. But to really know what can happen when you do things right, by getting rewards and points, that encourages them to do something for themselves. One of the issues that come up in our teenage and young adult population is the compliance issue.
Yeah.
And people don't want to take their medications, and they don't feel it's interesting, they don't want to know what's going on. And the more that people know about their disease, the more they understand about what treatment does for them, I think the more engaged they are, I think the more compliant they can be. And definitely the more compliant you are, ultimately the better chance you're being cured of your disease.
I like my little white blood cell, dude. It's like Pac-Man. I love this. I can see why people, like the college students, were like, yeah. I love games. I really do. So the kids were retaining it really well.
I think much better.
Yeah.
And in this study, they actually checked the levels of the medications in their body system, and it showed that those patients that were involved in this game had a higher percentage of taking their own chemotherapy.
I think it's actually very true about kids kind of retaining information, especially when they aren't aware. That idea of like, you can give them a textbook. Doesn't mean they're gonna retain any of it. But it's cool to think that if they get to play it, you do remember things, just like you remember the rules of the game.
You have to eat the bacteria and the germs. It's really fun.
They can go online and fight cancer in this game, which is almost like I'm working with the medicine.
12 enough. Oh my, that was awesome.
I mean, I tried it. I'm not very good at games.
But did you learn?
I learned. I mean, and I think, when kids learn, actually, adults actually learn too. Because when we're trying to explain really difficult concepts, some things that you can't even see, when they can see it in motion, it makes a lot more sense to the families and the parents.
Because don't get me wrong, I love Wii Fit Bowling, but it didn't teach me anything. Other than that, I'm pretty much better at bowling digitally than I will ever be in real life.
It was fascinating to learn that many hospitals are using video games as a core piece of rehabilitation, not just something to pass the time.
It's 10 p.m. on a Monday night. This has become a ritual. Every night, these players, all who live together in one house, play the game for 10 to 12 hours, honing minute skills and reaction times with their teammates. They're preparing and hoping it's enough to get them to their next win. How do you train for matches?
You scrim other teams in the championship series. Scrim is basically short for scrimmage, 3 hours of scrim, so 12 to 3 p.m., and then 4 to 7 p.m., and then our extra block at the end of the day is 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. So we scrim 3 teams every single day, Monday to Friday, and we actually didn't take days off just because playoffs were coming up, so we scrim through the weekend. Maybe we'll have a team activity day on the weekend, like Sunday or something like that, but other than that, we scrim pretty hard.
We have normally 2 blocks of scrims, best of 5s, and we just play them and then discuss the game. The only difference, I guess, for Wolves is that we are a lot more focused when it comes to discussing the strategy. Here we really look at everything into detail, try to discuss like why did this go wrong, like how should we do, what are the possibilities to fix, and that's the biggest difference when it comes to preparation, the amount of discussion and time we put into the games.
Our way of practicing is we have a schedule like normal sports. Right now around like 6 to 8 hours as a team.
A day?
Yeah, a day.
Wow.
And then after that you can put in work yourself.
Do you put in extra hours?
I think I probably spend around like 12 to 14 hours a day on just watching League, playing League, thinking about League. And my view on the game is that you have to 100% commit to the game, else you are not gonna get anywhere.
You gotta make sure that everybody sleeps enough, eats at the right times.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I got these guys on schedules, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and making sure that they're prepared mentally.
What is the next 2 weeks gonna look like for you? You eating your Wheaties? You doing like finger push-ups? Like what's going on?
Let's see. Well, I think it's pretty much the same, like in terms of our practice. Like the schedule is pretty much the same. We practice around 6 to 7 hours a day in terms of scrims, which is like 5v5 teams. But individually, I'd say, we practice all day, pretty much.
Wow.
That's right, here we go. Game 2. The MSG environment now for Counter Logic Gaming and Team Solo Mid. We're on the Rift.
CLG look like they're looking to make a play.
Belter's going to beat Bjergsen in the roam up the river unless they match up 1v1.
It's gonna be Meghan.
Howling Gale comes through. Oh my gosh, Scion Spartan. A beautiful hop over the team, throwing Lustboy back. The focus now on to Belter. Monsoon coming in from Afro, who may save Belter. Flashes out of that one alive, can still laser from the outside. And it looks like Team Solo Mid dropping like flies here. Back on to Belter. He may live, but no, he goes down to the riptide of Tyrus. Everybody is giving their last ounce in this fight, and Team Solo Mid actually comes out on top. He flashes out just at the right time. Oh, it takes down Bjergsen, just misses the Santorin, but he still goes down. He's also fallen. That's going to be Belter going down. Way too close now for CLG. Triple kill for Turtle, looking for the Quadra. Not going to get it that time. It's a triple for Double Lift. He's looking for Bjergsen.
That's going to be the game.
That is absolutely going to be the game.
Such a good game for CLG here.
27 to 15, Counter Logic Gaming go 2 in a row versus Team Solo Mid in the NALCS Summer Finals.
Hey, I'm here with Matthew Wilson. Now, Matthew, Angry Birds. I'm sure you're as sick of being asked about that as I am True Lies and Roseanne, but how did Angry Birds come into existence?
So yeah, it was 2008. Rovio, I think it was the 52nd game we put out. And we were working on a project for Nokia that they canceled, but we got to keep the whole payment, so we had a little bit of money. And we made Angry Birds with a team of 4 people in about 4.5 months. Well, the rest is history.
So I assume your dreams were always, oh, I want to connect with people.
We knew we had a good game, but we didn't. We could have never predicted what would happen. So I was running marketing then, and we did like a local global thing. So we got local blogs in all the different small Eastern European countries to do articles about the game. They kept going up the charts and sticking.
Do you know what the difference is between that and everything else?
Honestly, I couldn't explain why the phenomenon started. But like then we had our big break. We went #1 in the UK. Apple noticed us, featured us globally in April, and then we stayed #1 for 365 days in a row or something.
You don't charge people to download.
We used to, not anymore.
Right.
So
how do you make money from that?
In-app purchases. So in the Angry Birds games, there's like power-ups and things like that.
So you enhance it.
Yeah, it makes your bird bigger or stronger.
Right.
And yeah, you can earn currency in the game to do it a certain amount, but if you really want to invest and pass through all the content, spending is the easiest way to get there.
The term free-to-play, also known as freemium, refers to games that grant players access to fully functional games with the option to purchase in-game items to progress further and faster in the game. These are called microtransactions and can be contrasted with the classic pay-to-play model, in which payment is required up front. Pay now or pay over time. That's the idea. This genre has drawn controversy from some game developers who compare it to being allowed to watch the first half of a movie or a TV show only to find out that you have to pay to watch the rest. Love it or hate it, the bottom line is this. If you're playing the game, game makers are clever enough to find a way to monetize that play. Is there pressure to do Angry Birds 2? Are you saying, oh, we're going to do exactly the same thing over and over again?
Well, we've made already 3 Angry Birds slingshotty games.
Yeah.
And then we've got Angry Birds go-kart game. We have an Angry Birds RPG game. We have a few things in development. Angry Birds 2. You know, maybe that'll happen soon.
Right.
I won't confirm or deny it.
But is that something that you just the way your company works, do you have a group of guys sitting around jamming on ideas and making pitches to you?
So, I mean, my group, we do all the development with external companies, so I've got a team full of producers. So we'll send out RFPs that we're trying to just find developers to create the games that come into our minds. Or sometimes it's just things that are pitched to us that we like.
Do you feel incredible pressure when you've done something that's kind of changed the world? Because farmers in Iowa know Angry Birds. Like people that don't, when you've done something like that, do you feel pressure or do you feel just satisfaction? Oh, I did this once and I'm doing amazing things, but this one thing, it's in the lexicon, it's in the dictionary, it's
It's not replicable. I mean, that's why I stopped doing marketing. I figured I peaked. I can't do better than that.
Right.
So I had to get into game publishing. We're never gonna have a big hit on the scale of the first Angry Birds again. But nobody will.
Right.
But we've set quite a high bar for ourselves to entertain our fans, and we want to make sure that all the games we put out are fun first, not just trying to monetize everybody.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it, buddy. Nice to meet you too. I would never expected the world of modern gaming to be so vast and far-reaching, but it certainly is, and I'm having the time of my life learning and playing. Next, I'm headed to talk with a company called Twitch, who's transformed playing games into streaming games, a multi-million-dollar industry that's creating its very own celebrities. Wow.
We can't escape them. They're deep in our lives. Every morning I wake up and play Angry Birds and Tetris. I couldn't do that when I was a child. Imagine trying to bring the Atari 2600 into the bathroom with a giant television. And then your brother being like, I got next, because you're on the throne playing a game. Now I can do that.
Speaking with doctors is one thing, but kids intuitively know that video games are an escape, and I'm beyond excited to be able to bring them their very own game systems.
Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah, and then an Xbox 360.
Thank you
So we have so many things that we get to play with. There's like a whole table of games out there.
Did you see it?
Yeah. Oh my God, thank you so much.
Of course.
Can you believe that her name is Zelda? No.
I was named after the game.
Yeah. Oh my God. I was like, how come you didn't have a cool painter who named you Zelda?
I know. Why aren't you named Zelda, Cece?
I don't know.
Oh my God.
We want to give you this. It's a video game system, and this is going to be yours, okay? Yeah, so this is something that you can play on. We have a whole bunch of games here to give you.
Oh.
Yeah, so this is all yours.
Mommy, look at ticket.
Say thank you. Oh. Even to the phone. Oh. The phone. Here. Into the phone. Even. This one.
Say thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
We're in the bone marrow transplant unit, which is kids who, as we talked about earlier, they're here for a long period of time, and they are in isolation, which is very hard for anyone, let alone kids who want to run around and play. They were previously kind of sharing one Xbox and a bunch of systems, and they're in here for a month to 6 months, if not more, and now they don't have to. Now they can play whenever they want to, so it's pretty great, and it's so stinking cute.
Yeah,
Yes!
other team passing.
I passed
always
to you,
fun.
to your guys, so that's good. We're being really Switzerland about playing opposite each other. It's great. Come on.
Not to the other team, please.
I hear if you ask politely, the video game listens. How long have you been playing in like this teen lounge? Is this new?
I've only been here a couple weeks.
Are there often other kids in here?
Sometimes, yeah. And so, yeah, it's fun to play with people.
Do you hang out like usually every day, or?
Yeah, I would come and I used to just play board games. That's all I could kind of do.
Mhm.
But I've kind of started to play this, and I watch movies in my room from here and stuff.
Nice. There's movie posters everywhere in here, actually.
Yeah, there are.
Oh, Money, that was awesome!
Bonk. You are much better at throwing than I am at hitting, though. I just played the Wii Fit with Vanessa.
They play with that, the kids. That's a hit for them, but that's for the kids who are ambulatory, they can get around.
It was cool to get to play with her as well, because it's nice to be able to think that even that minor movement of like a Wii sport game is still great rehabilitation for her.
Do you want a break or are you okay?
Okay. You want a break? Okay.
Okay. Might as well play while you're here.
Vanessa was so cute.
Poor girl has been in and out of here for some times because they get.
She 5 years old?
Yeah.
She's lovely.
Yeah.
How often do the kids do rehabilitation? Every day?
It's 3 hours a day and 6 days a week.
Okay.
They get tired towards the end of the week. We give them a day off to
Yeah.
recuperate and then start one day again.
I just got to play the Wii Fit in the Rehabilitation Center. It's interesting to get to see it in different forms today and kind of the different ways it helps. Like the Rehabilitation Center was almost similar in what you're both accomplishing, which was kind of distracting the child by allowing them to do something that could draw their attention from what they didn't want to do.
Correct.
Let's try one more.
on your head.
Oh, this is because my surgery for my back, it didn't come out good, so that's why I need this halo.
That's a good way of putting it. Halo. Looks like a crown, too.
I know.
Even so young, it was working really well. Like, she didn't want to stand up, but she wanted to play the game, so she stood up to play the game.
Yes.
And when she got tired, she still wanted to keep playing.
That's
like, they're dedicated to that,
Right.
so she kneeled down instead.
Wow.
And there's something about that being like, you know, whether they're here or outside in the world, it's hard to get kids to do anything.
Right, and we have limited attention. You
Yeah.
know, we have to focus our attention, and so when it shifts from pain onto something that's enjoyable, like gaming, then I think that's the winner.
Do you want to play again?
Nah.
No, you want to watch?
I want to watch only.
All right. Do you want to do Bowser's Castle? All right.
Somebody could die like that.
Yeah, I don't know why you'd have lava in your castle. It doesn't seem like a good feng shui choice.
You fell into.
Did you fall in the lava again?
Yeah.
It's everywhere. Ah.
I hate the lava so much.
You should talk to Bowser's interior decorator. I'm sure he can change it.
Yeah, so it has a lot of application. And I think we've barely tapped it, honestly.
Oh yeah, no, it's so brand new.
Yeah, we've barely tapped its capacity to really engage kids and even adults.
I know, for example, they've done a lot of new games for health regarding burn victims. You put them in kind of a VR simulation, simulating a cold environment, and they've actually been able to measure that there have been less pain felt as a result of their burns rather than what they would feel when they're not playing that game. And so it's a new kind of therapy, and it really shows the power of the medium.
So much excitement, and you just have to keep it down. You have to be like, all right, I have to play, 3 to 5 games, keep calm. First game might go bad, so just have to keep your nerves down and just be focused. And if you're down a game, down 2 games, you still have to try to come back.
Well, that's a titanic task in and of itself. It's just keeping your nerves in check. It seems like an easier road for CLG, a lot more pressure there on the side of TSM. We'll see if they can handle it.
And CLG really crushed it in game 1. We were wondering if they were going to be able to transition their win streak into this series here, especially when the pressure is multiplied and amplified by the Madison Square Garden crowd and the stage of the NA Finals. But no, they were completely sound, played very smart and aggressive, which is even more impressive when you consider the environment they are in.
That's right.
Do you feel a lot of that pressure?
It's a lot of pressure as the one leading the team on stage, because you feel like, well, if I don't talk as much, then everyone's going to be lost, everyone's going to be scattered, no one knows what to do. So for me, it's a lot of pressure, but then again, it feels good when it ends up working out.
Yeah, and then you have the audience too, like cheering your guys' name and screaming, and do you have to just like kind of tune that out and go to a different place to be able to perform?
Thank God the headsets are soundproof, so we can't really hear the fans, but every time we look around or over the screen, you see all the fans, and especially when we play at big arenas, you do feel the pressure, and just when we walk on stage, the fans go crazy, they start cheering, but luckily we're kind of veterans in the game, and we've played a lot of different places, so we're used to having the fans around.
Yeah, no, you guys are great. How do you get in that mindset though when you're playing, when stuff's going south and you're just like, dang it?
I mean, it's probably been the thing that I've been working on the most, just like ever since I even started playing the game. When things get really bad, you really do have to pretend that doesn't mean anything almost, right? Like you have to just keep trying your hardest. It's such a cheesy phrase, but you really do have to like just keep playing, and then at the end of the game, then you can kind of like
throw the keyboard.
Throw the keyboard.
Yeah.
So it's just really about like keeping your composure and making sure that you're communicating.
That's crazy though. I wouldn't be able to maintain composure. When something bad happens, I'm like screaming at my computer. You're performing in-game, but you're also performing in a stadium packed full of all these people on stage for all of them.
No.
Welcome back, everyone, to the North American LCS Finals. As you see CLG on your screen, they're one game away from claiming the title of North American champions for the first time ever in their organization's history. That would be quite a massive achievement.
Entering the Rift now for Game 3, it's Counterlogic Gaming versus Team Solo Mid for your North American Summer Split LCS Finals. We're into Game 3. Pearson called for that. They wanted the last breath. Sion Spartan is able to hit it. Doublet stays alive with the Bloodthirster build. Lesboy in the middle. The Monsoon goes off, but it's all he's got for the team. TSM is now all for themselves. Can Sectarian stay alive? No, he does over the wall. Yes, another kill coming in for Echo. You can only hold out for so long against this relentless pressure from CLG. Afromu going salami, tanking that turret. He knows he goes down. He's letting the team fight, just tanking the turret completely, knowing Counterlogic Gaming is stronger. The double kill, the triple kill now coming in for Pobelter. Double is gonna clean one up. 40 seconds on the clock, boys.
CLG take the inhibitor. They're gonna take the Nexus turrets, and they're gonna take a trip to Worlds.
This is gonna be it. Counterlogic Gaming fighting every season since there has been one, and now taking down Team Solomon at Madison Square Garden to be your 2015 Summer Split champions. A well-earned 3-0
cannot believe what happened in there. I'm like losing my voice from screaming. Everyone was going absolutely crazy. Anyways, next up is World, so let's go.
Saying that thing, it's all painful. And also,
outtakes.
Mic packs.
Hey guys, we're here in New York at Madison Square Garden. We're the North American World Champions. My hair was like all in my face.
I've done 130 movies. I know it seems shocking. Yeah. 4 good ones, that's what I was saying. Okay.
I've only made 18 games, so I'm way behind.
Yeah, you're young.
It would be much easier. In fact, we're working on developing a app for.
You got plenty for our blooper reel on this one.
Let's go right now. Party all the way there. Let's go New York. Oh. People are looking at me. It's okay.